Please excuse the 3D printing noises in the background. Several friends of mine have really gotten on my case about doing a YouTube channel of some kind, and you know, mostly I've been avoiding it because, well, the usual reasons, like, what if I make stuff that isn't any good? You know, the usual fears we all face. But several of them really got on my case and said, just make videos about what you're doing and put them on the internet. Just do it. I'm like, okay, fine. So, anyway, this is a snap-on air-powered drill, PDR3. It's a discontinued model, but I had been looking for an air drill for work. It was recommended to me that I find an air-powered drill rather than electric, because the nature of these things, if you happen to be drilling soft metals like aluminum that are particularly thick and something seizes up, electric drills will twist your arm off, just about. And I have actually had the experience of this happening with an electric drill, and my arm rotating almost a full 360 degrees. I can't believe I didn't get injured. But so, you know, since then I thought, yeah, I should probably heed the advice of my elders and find an air power drill. So these have the effect that it's there's power, but it's the rotating bits are low mass. So if something seizes up, it just stops, instead of, you know, gear reduction and motors and things trying to twist your arm off. So I got this at a yard sale for like $10, and it didn't work. You know, plugged it in, tried some air through it. It blows air out the exhaust vent, but no chooch, you know. So you know, I figured, okay, maybe it's dirty inside or something. Took things apart and kind of cleaned it and tried it again. Still didn't work. And thankfully I had a coworker that was, you know, he could see I was trying to rescue this, and you know, cared enough about it to volunteer to diagnose it for me. And he discovered that the blades inside the motor were worn and needed replacing. So that's what I'm doing today. Oh, and make a huge mess of it. So this one's interesting. It's got two planet gears. This is yeah, you have your spinning chuck bit, two dingus ends stick out, and so you have two gears that the outside of them will interface with this ring, and then you have what they call a sun gear that lives in the center between those two and turns them, and it does the thing. Now I do think it's interesting, this is not, yeah, there's nothing keyed, there's nothing to prevent this from just spinning in here. So I'm not 100% sure how that works, but anyway, do I need pliers? I think I need pliers. Do my best not to chew things up here. There it goes. So, can't see anything. There's some air channels at the base of this. Let's set that aside. No, they'll blow air through different ports based on where you're sending the air, and depending on how some things are formed will spin this. I don't know if you can hear crunchy noises over the 3D printer in the background, but yeah, the blades in this are definitely worn. I did buy some new ones. I'm hoping it comes with springs, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need some more springs. Well, how's that come out? There we go. Okay. Any leftovers inside? There you go. Yeah, the inside is smooth. A couple of exhaust ports. And there is one of the blades, just a little bit worn. Let me see. So, yeah, four of those, and blow air around in a circle in the space in between that and there, and it blows on these, and that's where all your power comes from. So, I had actually thought of trying to 3D print these. They look like there's some kind of ABS plastic or something, but I figured before I try something like that, I should probably try to purchase the proper replacement part. Okay, grease all over the place. Or oil, I suppose it's air tool oil. I've looked into, you know, what is it that makes air tool oil special? You know, as opposed to any other oil. You know, I'll give the recommendation of, you know, you need to make sure you oil your air tools, and use a proper air tool oil, and apparently it's just petroleum oil of some kind, usually light oil. Ooh, that's looking promising. But yeah. Yeah, replacement rotor blades with springs, set of 4. That's nice. So, all in all, wound up costing me 28 bucks. 28 bucks for 4 pieces of plastic. Now, you might think 3D printing something like this would be, you know, far cheaper than $28. But you have to factor in your electricity usage, and material cost, and your time. You know, and after you really sit and do the math on that, 28 bucks seems like it's a better deal. Where's my knife? It's funny, I see technical YouTube channels everywhere that have this green cutting mat, And I don't know why everybody has to get a cutting mat, other than it does protect your desk surface considerably. But, I can't believe these are the right size. Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, everybody has to get these green mats for everything, and I guess it's a staple of this style of content. But I actually didn't go out and buy this for the purposes of, looking legitimate. It was more so, it was a drafting class I took in college, and they required some of our classroom materials were that we should get a cutting mat. So I had this left over. Now the material these are made of is interesting to me. Does it say the material? It doesn't. So, for lack of a better terminology, it reminds me of the material that circuit boards were made of in like the 1960s, before we had the fiberglass type that you see everywhere nowadays. And it's actually, really close up on this would be good. You can sort of see fibrous, almost a mesh sort of material, and then there's grinding marks there where they brought the thickness into tolerance. But do these fit? Yes. I forget what this stuff is called though. It's not very common nowadays. There was something we had to make at work where we had to purchase a very large sheet of this material, thin for probably purposes I can't really get into, but anyway, we bought a bunch of this stuff, and even for a company to purchase it was absurdly expensive for what it seems to be. But okay. Oh dear. So the old springs. Wow. Yeah, these springs definitely needed to be replaced. There's, how do I describe these? They're crushed. One of the strange things about springs, you'd think, okay, it's just a twisted up piece of wire that's sort of bendy and, does springy things. Apparently you have a finite number of times that you could actually squish a spring and have it rebound properly. So springs are something you actually need to replace once in a while and stuff. And this is probably a 40-year-old tool or something, so and looks like it's had a very hard life, so I suppose it's not that strange per se that the springs are that worn out. That's impressive. I think if all they're doing is holding tension on these, maybe they should fare better. But okay, so we'll just poke these down in the holes. These slots have almost a dimpled section. You can barely see it, but there's a little dimple just to kind of help hold the spring into place where it's supposed to go. Little details like that are always nice to see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. None of them fell out. Alright. And I will attempt to put all of these in facing the same direction, just in case that helps or means something. I don't really have the OCD thing where it's like, it doesn't look right, everything has to, well, I mean, I do, I suppose everybody does a little bit, but, I mean, whether or not it functions is more important. So these all want to fall out, and they're under spring tension, so I'm going to try and hold those together, and get things inside. There we go. So I don't know what the wear resistance is on these, but I'm hoping that it's got at least a little bit more longevity than the plastic ones, but we'll see. Assuming this makes everything work again, I do intend to take this to work and use it there, and I'm not sure what it is, the obsession people have with borrowing my tools at work, but that does seem to happen a lot. And so, more likely than not, this thing is going to work very hard there. I should probably put a little bit of oil on this. Just so I don't destroy everything the first time I send air through it. I had heard something interesting. The most vulnerable that your automobile engine is in that tiny space of time when you first started up, because you're having to rely on a thin film of a little bit of oil that's still all over engine parts. When you first start the car and things are moving around, you don't have oil pressure yet, you don't have a lot of protective stuff going on, and so the probability that parts are going to be getting worn out is higher. So I'll apply that same logic to these tools. Now, the teardrop shape in the base of this, there's a circle at the center and a line that goes up from that. That line needs to have, where is it? There it is. That little tiny index pin needs to slot into that. So if you hold your mouth in just the right position, maybe it'll work. Alright. Now, how to put this in without it falling apart into little pieces everywhere. There's a policy we have at work called FOD. It's foreign objects and debris, and making sure you don't have little pieces of stuff and things, especially where moving parts are involved. So something like that little piece of whatever, you know, in the middle of a gearbox could get caught up in things and cause problems later. So I'll remove that. And this is where the tactile feel of things comes into play. Because I have to screw this in and try to feel when the gear teeth mesh together and make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. Okay. It feels like everything moves. Alright, so I'm going to plug in a small air compressor and see if I can make this thing spin. So, be back in a moment. Okay. I'm thinking maybe that air compressor is not long for this life, but maybe it'll keep running long enough I can test this guy out. Alright. Okay. Let's see if it spins. Well, it didn't do that before. Okay. Yeah, it's a small air tank. Oh, that's enough of that noise. It works. So, yeah. I'm definitely going to put this into service at work, and this may rescue me. Because I have 3 drills at work, I think, and all of them go missing on a regular basis because people can't be bothered to buy their own tools. Oh. Cool. Well, I thought the possibility was there that this might not be a success, but glad to see that it was. Yeah. So that's one project. This video is probably long enough. And I went into this project not really having a clue what, I mean, I knew some of the mechanic things or whatever, but I didn't actually know about this part and how that part of the inside of these worked. I didn't know if I was going to be able to find the correct parts. I didn't know if the parts I got were correct. You know, I just decided to go for it, and it worked out. So, good reminder to just, like, if you run into a problem with something, you know, you can, it doesn't mean it's a total loss. Like, you can try things. Probably the biggest hurdle is just getting over the fear of, like, well, what if I screw it up? So, yeah, this was a happy ending, and I expect at some point I'll have projects on here that do not turn out quite so well sometimes. Um, but you know, even if they do, that's okay. Once in a while you get a win, so not bad. Well, I'll see you in the next one.